I had a good friend of mine who's a mentor who told me when you go in there and you meet the team, because I had never come in as the boss before, I'd always worked my way up. He said,
Mm,
you need to tell the people that are there, you need skill and will to work here. Being just good enough at your job is not enough. You also have to have the desire. And just because you have the desire doesn't mean you have the skill, right? So I need
mhm.
people that needed and had both, right?
Welcome back to BodyShop Leaders, the show where we dive into the stories, strategies, and breakthroughs shaping the future of collision repair. I'm your host, Daniel Burkholder, and today's guest is someone whose journey I think every shop owner needs to hear. Steve Olson is the managing partner of Louisville Collision Centers and co-owner of Manchester Collision. He's grown his operation from a struggling shop to one of the largest, most respected collision centers in Kentucky, built on a foundation of culture, leadership, and relentless commitment to both people and performance. His story includes turning a failing center into a $1 million profit, betting on himself, and building two thriving shops nearly 900 miles apart. Today, we're unpacking the growth, the leadership philosophy, the culture, the mindset, and everything shop owners can apply right now to grow and lead at a higher level. Steve, I'm excited for this one. Let's dive in.
I am too. Thank you, Danny, for having me.
My pleasure. Here's my first question for you, Steve. You've got one of the most compelling growth stories in this industry. So just please take us back. What was that turning point that pushed you from employee to owner?
This will be the end of year 25 for me doing this, and I've learned a lot. I've been in four shops across a couple different states, and it kind of started back in 2000, right out of college, washing cars at a Toyota collision center in Pennsylvania for 8.50 an hour. And so I kind of learned what that process looked like from the back, from buffing, from cleaning, just to learn the basics of what the body shop business was like. I'd always been a car guy and loved cars, but just kind of understanding the collision side. So as people kind of moved on in the office, I got a chance to learn estimating, and I liked working with people and helping people. And then I got to learn production management. That kind of prepared me for becoming a manager, which I did in 2011. And I grew a shop over about a 4 year period. And then in 2015, I had the opportunity to come to Louisville Collision and kind of start a new journey here for us.
Amazing. You just kept building on those good experiences, those bad experiences you had and learned along the way.
Yeah, I think you can learn from both, right? And even some of the
Right.
mistakes you made along the way, good bosses you had, bad bosses you had. Hey, if I get a chance to be a leader one day, I want to do these things or I don't want to do those things that I saw people do in my past coming up through the process.
Amazing. When you arrived at Louisville Collision Center back in 2015, what was your vision for the type of shop and the culture that you wanted to build?
I don't know why. I guess in this industry, the $1 million a month thing is always a target. I think every body shop guy wants to go after. When I got here, the shop was doing $350,000 a month. So to kind of have those grand ideas that I can triple the size of this place and have it be successful might have been a little bit big, but it's something I thought was doable and something I thought we could do. And we just started to clean the place up one step at a time and show the employees that were here that we were going to make it a better place for them every single day.
Amazing. You led right into that next question that I have here is you grew the revenue from I believe it's like 350,000 a month to over 1.4 million. What were those first two or three decisions that really helped to move the needle?
I had a good friend of mine who's a mentor who told me when you go in there and you meet the team, because I had never come in as the boss before, I'd always worked my way up. He said, you
Mm,
need to tell the people that are there, you need skill and will to work here. Being just good enough at your job is not enough. You also have to have the desire. And just because you have the desire doesn't mean you have the skill, right? So I need
mhm.
people that needed and had both, right? And so we had 28 people here when I got here, and only four of them are still with us. Some of them didn't match the culture of what we wanted. They didn't have the quality of what we wanted. Some of them just didn't want to be part of the change, whether it was going to be good or bad for them. They just hated change and didn't want to be part of it. And so now we're a team of 46, and 42 of those people are new. And we got to pick those people that understood, hey, we're getting ready to do something that's never been done before in Kentucky. We want to know if you want to be part of it. And so it's been this incredible 10-year journey of growth over that time.
That's amazing. Just recap that for me again. Was it skill and will?
Skill and will, you have to have both. One's
That's
not good enough.
perfect. I don't think I've ever heard those put together before, but I like that. That really is a good package. If a guy has skill and will, amazing. So that takes me pretty much right into my next question, Steve, is culture is something that you live and breathe, obviously. How do you define a healthy shop culture? And maybe just a little bit of what makes yours different?
I think there has to be give and take. I think there has to be understanding with your employees, not just because the employees that you have are all ages, right? All different generations and all have different needs, but every single person is wired differently. If you were an employee for me, Daniel, and I said, "Hey, I can have you make double what you make, but you're going to work here all the time and you're not going to be home a whole lot," and that was going to take you away from a home life that's super important to you, then it doesn't matter what I'm going to pay you, right? For you, that's
Mhm.
not what drives you, what makes you want to be here. For you, it's I want to be able to be at my son's soccer game. I want to be able to be at my daughter's dance recital, whatever that is, and me understanding that. So, A, it's figuring out what your team is and understanding what's important because especially if you have a family, that those years go way too quick for you to spend your whole life,
Mhm.
wasting your hands away and your knuckles away, spreading filler on cars and sending them to paint, right? So I'd rather have you be at those events so that when you're here, you're focused and you're working hard, but that when you leave, you're able to go and spend time with your family and enjoy whatever that is, golfing or fishing or spending time with your family on, when doing whatever.
That's amazing. So you really work hard to understand each individual and what drives them, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Absolutely, right? Think about this as a coach, right? If you're a football coach or basketball coach, not every play on your team you can motivate the same way. Some of them you have to be super strict on, and what are you doing and get on them. Some of them, if you get on them, they're going to completely shut down and sit on the bench and not go back in, right? So understanding what drives your people, what's important to your people, because we all have different personalities, we're all wired
Mhm.
differently, and we're all motivated by different things. So if I go to you and say, hey, you're going to be able to leave here early, but the opportunity to make financially what you want is not there, then I might not be the right person for you, right? You might not be the right person for our shop. So it's finding out what's important to you, being flexible with a schedule. Hey, this guy has to come in a little earlier because he has to pick his kids up on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? Things like that that make sense. But a lot of times when you get into these big boxes or national chains, hey, here's the rules. You work 8 to 5, you do this, you do that. If you don't like it, there's the door. And I think it takes more than that, more compassion, more understanding now to lead people in that way.
100%. So just diving into that a little bit more, how would you answer the question of what all they want is more money?
Then that becomes a process thing. How can we become super efficient in what we do, right? How do we make sure that we're billing for everything that we're entitled to? When we're being told from an insurance company that's included and we can do the research and realize it's not, how do we realize what separates us from the shops around us, right? We're a zero DRP facility. We're focused on OEM certifications. So the cars that come to us are the same kind of cars every single month. Really, the shops down the street aren't competitors for me because they're fixing different cars for me. The biggest thing we're competing against is can we be better than we were as a company yesterday? Can we make sure we're taking care of our employees and saying, hey, if this guy is focused on producing max hours, great. I have 2 jobs I'm going to save for him this weekend because he wants to come in and make extra money because taking his family to Disney next summer is important. And he's going to realize by putting that extra time and he can do that. So it's just kind of understanding what motivates them and then having the processes and the people and the workload to be able to do it right.
Amazing. I love that answer. I have another question for you, Steve, that I think is part of this as well. So, if I understand correctly, your turnover there is almost zero. What are you doing as a leader that keeps people loyal and motivated and proud to be a part of your team?
I think part of it, I mean, obviously, we're not the cheapest shop in town, and we're okay with that, right? If you wanted to buy coffee today, you could go to Starbucks. You can go to the gas station. They're both technically still coffee, but one's $7 more than the other, right? It
Mhm.
just depends on what you're looking for and what do you want to be known for. We want to be known for a shop that's quality, that's doing things the right way, that's not worried about an insurance scorecard to see how much work we're going to get from them here. We want to make sure that the car needs to be fixed one way, that's the correct way, and these are what the rules, these are what the procedures say for how it needs to be done. So it kind of costs what it costs. In a way that helps your technicians because I might be getting paid more hours on every job than the shop down the street that's part of a chain who has an agreement with an insurance company that says I'm going to discount all these repairs as long as you send me a mass amount of work. And so I think our focus really changed during 2020 when the slowdown hit everywhere really hard, but especially here in Kentucky. We had to get creative and say, what are we going to do to generate profit while we're slow right now. We're doing a third or a fourth of what we were doing a month ago before COVID hit. How are we going to find it? And so we really started to refine, what are we doing? Let's stay educated. What are we entitled to that we're missing on each estimate that we should be getting paid for, that we're already doing, but we're doing it for free, right? So if my technicians are making more and getting paid more, I don't have to worry about them leaving because I'm treating them better. I'm flexible with their hours. They're in an air conditioned shop with updated LED lighting, right? We're doing all the little things, but we're also making sure that their ability to earn what they want is here as opposed to down the street.
Incredible. And I'd like to just dig into that just a little bit more. To me, it sounds like you have somehow gotten them to buy into your vision and mission there at Louisville Collision. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So my mindset is I'm ultra competitive. I want to be successful. I want to do all the things that I want to do for myself, for my family to provide that. But I also want to see them win, and I'm putting that first. So my mindset versus the regular mindset, my mindset is if I am able to help every single employee in my building accomplish whatever it is they want and achieve their goals, then I'm going to get mine achieved as a result. Not the opposite way around. A lot of times it's, hey, here's the boss. The boss is going to take the bulk of it, and whatever's left, us little peon employees get. And that mindset doesn't work. There's no buy-in. They feel like they're just working to make their boss rich. My job is I want to help my employees earn whatever that is, whether it's financial, whether it's buy their first house, whether it's be able to take their dream vacation, whatever those things are. But I also want to give them a work environment where they don't feel like they're stressed out. They don't feel like they have to work 70 hours a week in order to do those things. And I understand it's important to go home and have a good family life as well, so that while you're here, you can focus on what you're doing.
I love that. Yeah, it's just incredible to see that where you're pouring into your people, which you know that you are going to get the results you want if you give to them what they want. I have to think of something Zig Ziglar said, that if you help enough other people get what they want, you will get what you want. To me, it sounds to me like you're living out that principle as a leader there at Louisville Collision.
Yeah, thank you. The other way to say it too is high tide raises all boats, right? So as we achieve this success, as we win an award across the country, as people start to find out who we are, that elevates who we are as Louisville Collision, and that gets more customers and that gets more people coming here, which again helps us to be able to provide for more people and more employees.
Amazing. That just is so exciting to see leaders like you and hear leaders like you verbalize that. And I get to hear this on the Body Shop Leaders podcast, but it's so invigorating to me to hear you say that. Let's just shift gears a little bit. So if I understand correctly, you are running Louisville Collision Center and you're also running Manchester Collision Center, which is like 900 miles apart. That's no small task. How have systems and technology enabled you to kind of build that consistency and performance between the locations?
Yeah, actually, that's absolutely huge to have systems that you trust and systems that make it easier to do that. Ultimately, as much as it's about software and a management system where I'm able to, obviously, I live in Kentucky, so 99% of my time is spent here, but I have people that I trust at both facilities. So even though I can't be in New Hampshire constantly, I have a great team up there that's able to lead up there, and I can check in with her and say, hey, Mary, how are you doing on this? What can I help you with today? And just touch base with her. Hey, how's workload for you? What do you need from me? Right? It's easier here for me in Kentucky because I'm here, and this has been year 10 where I'm in year 3 in New Hampshire, right? But again, I'll be up there next week, and I get to spend time with her and her team, and we get to do a dinner together as the whole shop. And again, kind of building that culture, but it's that trust. It's that the employees understand that me as an owner, but also Mary as the manager there, buys into that same mindset, is that I'm going to help all the people in my building be successful. And as a result, I'm going to win as well.
Amazing. So it's not just technology, it's that level of trust and having the right people in the right seats.
Absolutely.
Incredible. Let's just move on a little bit. You've talked about blending a people first mindset with high expectations, and you told me that you are performance driven. How do you lead with empathy while still driving for results? How do you blend those two?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's understanding give and take, right? We all have times in this business when we have busier weeks and we have slower weeks, right? So I want that same understanding, that same courtesy that they give to me. I want the same thing back from them. If we have a week in the summertime where everybody's on vacations as far as customers and we're a little bit light and somebody comes to me at 3 o'clock and says, hey, I want to go home for the day. Are you good if I cut a couple hours early? That's absolutely fine. But when we get to the winter time and everybody's sliding off the road, and or you get to deer season, everybody's coming in here with deer hair stuck in their car. That's when I want you to say, hey, remember those times that we let you leave early? Here's a time for us to go ahead and turn the extra work that's here, and let's understand that, right? So I think you
Right.
have to understand that workload goes up and down, right? It's been up for a couple of years and now it's been down for the past couple of years, right? So what does that look like? And how do I push my people up front to make sure that the back doesn't run out of work? Because that's the key part. You need to be as good in the back as you are in the front. You can have the best technicians in the world, but if you're not landing any of the jobs that come to your shop, it doesn't matter. Where if you have a great team up front and your guys in the back can't fix a car right, it doesn't matter how good you are at grabbing keys. Can you actually perform both ways, right? So that's the
Mhm.
important thing is, can you deliver the whole way through the shop?
Amazing. That makes total sense. Let's talk a little bit about Louisville Collision has won both national Lexus awards in the same year. What did that achievement mean to you and the team?
So it's kind of crazy. We started this journey when I got here in 2015. We had zero certifications, OEM certifications. And the first two that made the most sense for us because of the dealer group we're connected to were BMW and Lexus. Both of those are pretty extensive training. So sending guys away for weeks to get training. BMW requires 35 classroom days to become certified per guy. So
Wow.
not only are you sending somebody out of town for 7 weeks, you're paying for their hotel and their flight and their meals and their pay, and you're losing the production, right? It's
Right.
a massive investment. So we
Hmm.
just decided that we wanted to be one of the best BMW shops. We wanted to be one of the best Lexus shops. And so in that time period, we won 5 national awards, 2 of them from Lexus for Shop of the Year, and 3 of them from BMW, actually back to back to back, which had never been done before. And so 5 awards in a 6 year period is unbelievable. It's great. It recognizes the hard work of our team and the
Hmm.
quality of the team. It's not just about the awards, but it's about, man, we're being recognized across the country as one of the top shops. And you guys get to be part of that because you're the main reason we're getting that notoriety across the country.
That's amazing. 5 and 6 years. That's an outstanding achievement.
Thank you. It's a total team thing, from the receptionist that meets the customer walking in, right? We meet people at their worst time, their most upset time. I say it's like
Mm.
a dentist office walking in here. No one wants to be here, but you need to be here. And so that's what's key about it. But you still have to fix the car right. You still have to paint it the right color. It still has to look good when it's detailed and washed, going back to the wash bay days when I started there, right?
Mm.
Everything is a total project. And if anybody fails in their part, you can potentially lose that customer. So it's got to be,
Right.
this play all the way through, and everybody's got to do their role.
You're exactly right. It's a team effort. Every step has to be done correctly. Let's talk a little bit about looking at the industry today. Where do you think most shop owners are falling behind? And where is the biggest opportunity for growth?
There's been so much up and down in the past couple of years. COVID hit hard in 2020. It affected a lot of shops across the country. Super slow. We had just a brutal year. We had to cut back on people quite a bit. So we kind of had this growth over 21 and 22 and 23. 23 was easy. It's like you're running a Chick-fil-A where as long as you unlock the door, people are going to come in and buy from you, right? And then we
Mhm.
saw 24, which was a weird year with an election year and all those things. And kind of the uneasiness of that. And this year's been very similar too. You have total losses at an all-time high, right? Cars are totaling quicker than before. You have insurance premiums at an all-time high, right? You have all these things that are huge, that are changes and happen to change every single year. So your ability to adapt and become who you are and change on the fly, you've got to realize who it are. Maybe you're adding a certification. Maybe you're cleaning up the process of what you do. You're looking at HRO for paint materials profitability, right? All those costs keep going up. And if we're not moving with them, the margins get tighter and tighter. And that's where a lot of shops across the country are. They don't have a ton of work and their margins are shrinking and they're wondering what's going on. We can't run it the exact same way we did 3 years ago or 20 years ago. We've got to be able to change on the fly and stay current with what's going on.
Excellent. So, what I hear you saying is be willing to evolve with the changes that are coming, or you will fall behind. What do you feel might be that biggest opportunity that shops should be leaning into?
Our biggest focus was maximizing HRO, right? We talk about all the time. What other opportunities are here? Yes, the side of their car got scratched by their daughter, right? As she scraped the basketball pole. But what about the front bumper that's got chips all over it? The car's already here, right? It's already
Mhm.
going through a paint booth for one cycle. There's an opportunity for us to maximize an additional repair there and let them pay out of pocket. I'm already mixing paint, right? I'm already doing a lot of these things one time. What if I can move my average RO by upselling? PDR, right? What other things can I do to help make that
Mm.
repair process better, right? And so
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing is if my car count is going down, which we know it is with technology, then I need
Right.
to be smarter and make sure that every car that comes in here, I'm maximizing that RO. And we know how this works, right? If we ask an insurance company for $8,000 to fix a car, they'll pay us $8,000. If your body shop is asking for $4,000, they'll pay you $4,000. And that happens at two different shops down the street. But can you document it? Why you should be paid for it? What are the operations? Are you proving that the door comes in and it needs to be seam sealed from the manufacturer and you're charging for that? Or are you doing it for free? Or are you not doing it at all? And so you have to be educated and you have to understand what's going on. And that's where I think a lot of the certification comes in because there's so much training as to what it takes to fix the cars correctly.
Amazing. I think that's great advice to anybody that's listening is be willing to learn and then lean into that opportunity of upselling, providing a better experience. Huge opportunity as the car counts go down. Make sure you're pushing your RO value up as much as you can. Let's talk a little bit about how you've transformed two shops and helped inspire others through podcasts and leadership conversations. I know this isn't the first podcast you've been on. What's the one shift a shop owner can make today that would immediately help start improving their business?
I mean, ultimately, like I said, it is about workload and you have to have the cars, right? And if you think about your body shop as a pipeline, right? Let's say your goal is to get to $300,000 a month in sales. You've got to be able to process 300,000 the whole way through, right? You have to be able to receive it at the front door. You have to be able to repair it and blueprint it and paint it and clean it up and deliver it, right? If
Mm-hmm.
any part of that pipeline gets skinnier and you can only do 200,000, then guess what? You've got this bottleneck. So
Right.
all those steps are important, making sure you have this flow the whole way through, right? But ultimately, it comes down back to people, right? Do people understand what the goal is and can they help you achieve those things? You know, we obviously are an industry that the technicians are getting older and older. And what's your plan? Are you training your next technicians? Right? We're very fortunate to have a staff average age of like 43 years old here. So we've got a team that's much younger than a lot of other shops. And so I know as some of those other shops continue to have people age out, if they don't have a plan for who's going to come in there next and do that
Right.
job, then they're not going to be able to sustain it, right? So how do I tell somebody, hey, I've got a job for you for the next 20 years, and you have a great future here, and you can accomplish all the things you want, and I can help you with certification, all those things. All that's very important, but it ultimately comes back to people and the process and the flow of what you're doing.
Very good answer. I have one final question yet for you, Steve. What does being a body shop leader mean to you?
I think when I go to a lot of national conferences, a lot of OEM conferences and industry events and stuff like that, one of the things I've seen over the years that I've been in this business is it seems like when managers get in a room, they're afraid to tell people, hey, I'm not sure I understand that, or they're afraid to ask the person next to them, hey, I heard you talk about that. What does that look like? I've never even heard of that, or I don't do that at my shop, or it's almost like it's an ego thing, right? I don't want to admit that my shop doesn't do that as well as your shop does.
Mm.
I think that the networking to these events is just as important as the content you get out of it. So even I, who've been doing this 25 years and by no means have the largest shop in the country, have group texts with other managers that are in all different markets across the country. And I'm sending them, hey, what are you doing during this? A, we're checking in on people's mental health, right? As we've had slowdowns and we've gone through COVID and we've talked about best practices. But hey, what are you doing in San Francisco? What are you doing in Detroit? What are you doing in Baltimore that's working for you? Or how would you handle this situation? And understanding there's guys that have shops that are half my size who might be better operators than me, right? Size doesn't necessarily mean we're doing everything perfect. So understand when you go there, what can I do? What can I help other people with? Just be an open book and be honest. Don't go in there and lie about your numbers because as soon as you throw them out there, I can back into your numbers and go, those numbers don't really add up to correct numbers, right? People should know their numbers, but go in there with the open mindset. Hey, I'm here to learn. I'm going to be an open book, and I really respect people who come in there and say, man, I love what you're talking about. I don't know what it is, but can you tell me more about it? Like the guts that it takes to come up and say that, admit that, because that's just not our culture. It's I run a
Right.
shop and I can't admit that somebody might know more than me. And there's guys that run circles around me that have a third of the size shop I do, and I want to learn from them. And so when I go out of town, I want to go see their shop and take back one or two things that they're doing better than me and bring it back to my shop and try and implement that as well.
I love that attitude. And I think that's good for everybody, not just shop owners and managers, but that continuous learning and that humility to say, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. Tell me more about it. That's so powerful.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a key. And again, I've seen it for so many years. You see the guys in the room that don't want to share anything. Listen, there's no secret to what we do here. We can walk somebody through the building and show it to you. I just think our team's going to probably do it better, which gives us an advantage over the people around us. But it's also about the people, and they have to care. If
Right.
people don't care, it doesn't matter. Happy employees make happy customers. And when there's a toxic environment and people don't like it and people don't care about the person sitting next to them, none of that matters.
So powerful. Well, Steve, I really appreciate the time that you've taken today. This has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to share my story. And if anybody ever wants any, has any questions or wants to reach out, they're welcome to do so. Social media, LinkedIn, anything you want to do, just find me. I'm an open book, and I'll be glad to talk to anybody about my journey and how I can possibly help you with yours.
I appreciate that very open offer to anybody looking to grow. And if you are a collision shop owner or manager, you'll be foolish not to reach out to Steve and learn more. So, to everyone listening, if today's episode sparked something for you, share it with another shop owner who needs to hear Steve's message. And don't forget to subscribe to Body Shop Leaders, powered by Body Shop Marketing, where we help collision shops grow smarter. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.